Hello everyone, so my topic for today is about readability under Module 11. So we have here objectives for us to be guided on what we should learn on this topic. So the first one is using readability checklist to select books and other reading materials, use the fry graph and small grading system to estimate readability, also to explain the limitation of readability formulas, prepare and administer score and interpret result from closed test, and lastly is evaluate textbook readability using both quantitative and qualitative measures.
We have here activity 11, level 1. So let us reflect upon our own reading and ask. So what makes some reading materials easier to use? Or maybe asking ourselves, why should I learn more? Or why should I learn about the factors that influence readability? So how can these informations help me as a teacher? So we need to ask ourselves first before choosing this before choosing kinds of books or textbooks for our students. But actually in the reality, as teachers, we are using the books that are given by the institution or the program. Uh, Using professional judgment in selecting text. So textbooks evaluations is a serious business considering that once you have chosen your text, you will be using the same material for a number of years. To make professional intelligent decision about text and textbooks, you need to you need several types of information. If the book will be sole base for your lesson, then you should be interested in finding out if it has the following characteristics by Vaca and Vaca, 1986. Using the acronym CAR as a mnemonic device, which um, a mnemonic device which has content aids for learning and readability factor, where this selection are very crucial. So they have given us checklist in box 11 to evaluate this three kinds of criteria. So we have here the CAR or the content aids for learning and readability. So vocabulary that is either known or clearly explained, coherent sentences that help connect new information with prior information, aids which assist with questioning and review to hold the reader's attention, length appropriate to course time limits, content expressed in terms of major concept principles with aesthetically pleasing examples of illustration. So these are the factors or parts of the factors that a person should check while choosing books for the students or as is a reading material for the lecture or the class. So we have here also content is the first factor that you must consider. So we must consider content while choosing textbook for our study. Actually, even if we're just reading books, we look for the content. As a person who engage in reading books, we look for the content. If it matches our interest or the story is giving us the the right emotion. So we have also here aids for learning. So what types of learning aids are provided by the material? The number of learning aids available in the textual material will depend in the part of the kind of text that you are using. So textbook should have the most of the learning aids mentioned in the checklist. So we have a checklist that shows us what are the standard of choosing a textbook. Readability is the objective measure of the difficulty of a book or an article. It is generally reported in terms of grade level. So the readability part. So when we have for the elementary, we have the level of readability as starting. Then as we go, as the level of the student gets higher, the readability factor is getting higher also. So this is the sample of the checklist for evaluating and selecting text. So in this part is the content. Sorry. So does the content match up the course objective? So we are looking for the connection of the objective of our lesson or our subject. Is the information up to date? Third is, do my students have sufficient background to understand the ideas introduced in the text? Here also is the new concept introduced one at a time and are sufficient. So and so forth. So it talks, or that this checklist shows what are the factors that we should, or the book should have. The content of the book should connect on the course objectives. So if this textbook have the new or the updated data, so, or the how the author highlight information that is going to be particular with the student. So it will be a big help if the content of the textbook that we're going to use has a big connection with the topic or the subjects that we're going to teach. Next is the aids for learning. So the following checklist here are like, is there a preface or seminar section that overviews the textual materials? Do the table of contents and index enable students to locate information quickly? Do the headings and subheadings help students establish purposes for reading? Does the glossary obtain clearly stated definitions for this for the specialized vocabulary words presented in the textual material? So are there appropriate type of number illustration provided? The graphs and tables and charts clearly explained? Are boldface, prints, italics, and other aids used to highlight important information, I mean. So are the activities suggested by the author appropriate and appealing to students? So even the appropriate or the activities that is put in the textbook should be checked, because if the students find it boring or don't understand it clearly, they won't really settle for that reference. They will look for another reference that will be a big help for them. Are summaries provided to help students synthesize the information they are learning? So these are the checklist under the A's for Learnings. We have also the readability. So is the reading level appropriate? So this one is also very important. The first one, the reading level appropriate, because we have different kinds of level of students. We have the primary, the secondary, and the tertiary. So we must have different kinds of level of learning in those students. Is the vocabulary appropriate? Is the size of the print appropriate? Do the authors use organizational structure that is easy for the students to follow and understand? Is the writing style appealing? Is the sentence and or paragraph structure unnecessarily complex? Does the material look as if it would be interesting to read? So in the readability part, it focuses more on the reading level and also how the textbook is readable or catchy for the students or the learners to read. So this is the total or the gist of the checklist that we need to use in doing or in checking the textbook that we're going to be using for the rest of the school year. If that is our purpose of checking the book context. This is from Forgan and Mangroom, 1989. Next here is the readability formulas. So there are many readability formulas that we can use to estimate textbook difficulty. Most popular formulas today are quick and easy to calculate. Usually involves measure of sentence length and word difficulty to determine grade level scores for textual materials. So these are the Fry readability and the SMOG grading system. So Fry's graph for estimating readability. So Edward Fry, 1968 to 1977, developed a quick, easy, usable technique for estimating the reading difficulty of written materials for grade 1 through graduate school. Fry's graph for estimating readability uses two traditional factors to determine readability. One is the average sentence length, and two is the difficulty represented by the total number of syllables in the sample passage. So Fry reports that the graphs correlates high with the space readability formulas and with the Dale-Chal readability formula. This high correlation indicate considerably consistent between formula and support the wide acceptance and use of Fry's graph. So we have here the figure. The top heading of the Frye graph is the average number of the syllables per 100 words. The numerals at the top button of the graph refers to the number of syllables contained in a 100-word selection. A 100-word selection with short words may contain a few as 108 syllables, making each word only about one syllable long. A 100-word selection with long words may contain more than 182 syllables. If a 100-word selection contains 182 syllables, many of those of the words are more than one syllables. So on the left side of the graph, the average number of sentences per 100 words, as you examine the left to right side of the graph, you will notice the number of the sentence ranges from 2 to 25. So from long sentences to short sentences. If there are only two sentences in 100 words, each sentence is about 50 words long. Likewise, if there are 25 sentences in 100 words, each sentence is about 4 words long. So if a 100-word selection has fewer than 2 sentences or more than 25 sentences, Frye's graph cannot be used. So as you look at the center of the graph, you will notice the grade level band range from first grade to 17th grade. 11th grade is the freshman year of college, 12th grade the sophomore year, 13th grade the junior year, and the 14th grade is the senior year. 16th grade, given or take a grade or two, indicates the readability appropriate for a graduate student. So we will also notice that some areas of the graph are gray. So there are gray parts. The grade level scores in these areas are invalid because the line's coverage readability estimates are the most valid when they are near the center of the line or near the center line of the Frye's graph. So we have to understand this part because this tackles how we will understand the validity or of the Frye's graph. So I have already shown you the graph for estimating readability by Frye's graph. So I also have here the expanded direction for working readability graph for us to learn more about the graph of Frye. So randomly select 3 sample passages and count out exactly 100 words each, beginning with the beginning of a sentence. Count proper nouns, initialization, and numerals. So since we are going to use the 3 samples from the printed materials, it is essential that the passages that we select are representative of the entire article or book. The usual procedure is to get a sample near the beginning, in the middle, and near the end of the article. So we are going to choose self-contained selections that do not refer to charts or illustration. Count 100 words for each sample beginning with the first word of a sentence and do not include the titles or headings. So we need to be sure to count all the words with the sample passage or in the sample passage, including small words such as the, or as well as proper nouns, initial, and numerals. A word is defined as a group or of symbols with the space of each side of the group. So this is from the first part in selecting the representative passages. So in this part is we have the sample here is that do you know your child's learning style? So knowing a sample here is given for us to track also the learning or the idea on how we will do it on hands-on. Next is count the number of sentence within 100 words, estimating length of the fraction of the sentence to the nearest tenth. Get, get average sentence length of the 3 samples. So this procedure is simple since you just go through the passage and look for sentence, ending with a period, question mark, or exclamation point. If the final sentence does not stop at the end of the 100 words, determine what proportion of this last sentence you are including in the 100-word count. Estimate the last sentence to the nearest tenth. Like, for example, the sample passage 1 is the final sentence has 15 words, and 12 of these are the 100-word count. Thus, the final sentence would be counted as 0.8 sentences. Now, so let's try to count the number of sentences in the sample passage 2 and 3. Third is count the total number of syllables in 100-word passage. Get the average number of syllables for the 3 passages. So the getting of the average of the number of the syllable for the 3 passages is just an activity. So we just continue. So in the part 3, you do not need to decide where the syllable breaks occur in each of the word. Rather, you simply read the selection aloud and put a slash above each syllable you hear in the words. For example, the word there has 1 syllable, married has 2 syllable, amazing has 3 syllable, and patriotic has 4 syllable. For our purposes, a syllable is a phonetic syllable that you actually hear. A word usually has a many syllables, and there are vowel sounds. When counting syllables for numerals and initialization, count 1 syllable for each symbol. For example, 1996 would be counted as 4 syllable, USA has 3 syllable, and plus has 1 syllable. Fourth part is enter graph with the average sentence length and average number of syllables. Plot that where the two line intersect, and area where the dot is plotted will give you the approximate grade level. If the dot falls within invalid or the grayer areas, recompute or get other sample. So add the 3 totals and divide by 3 to get the average. Do this for both the syllable and the sentence column. Fifth part is, if a great deal of variability is found in syllable count or sentence counting, putting more sample into the average is desirable. So at the figure of the Fry's graph, the vertical lines represent the average number of syllables per 100 words. The horizontal lines represent the average number of sentence per 100 words. Where any vertical and horizontal lines intersect, approximate grade levels are indicated. Record the level of your selection at this time. According to Fry, most of the intersecting points will fall near the curved line. If the intersecting point falls in the gray area, conclude that the results are invalid. Then select another 100-word sample and refigure. So we're going to do it again. We will redo it again or refigure if most of the points will fall near the curved line, which falls in the gray area, which represents the invalid result. Lastly is, a word is defined as a group of symbols with space or either side, thus, Joe, IRA, 1945, and are 1 word each. So remember that these are estimates of readability. Fry states that these estimates are probably within plus or minus 1 year of the true estimate of readability. So this is the estimating, this is a part of the estimating readability too. So this shows, or this is the task where we're going to have the computation or the counting of the words. This is in the like for example, this is the passage below. So it shows how we're going to write the number of syllables in in this passage, and also we're going to total it, then total the number of sentences, number of syllables, and the estimate of the readability. So this is the sample only. So we're going to put here the numbers. So this is the part when also this will what will happen if we're done writing, counting and writing the syllables in the passage that is given to us. So you will see that there's the beginning, the middle, and also the number of syllables here, the total number of syllables. So it will be continuously, and then you will see here that on the last part is there is the total. So there is a 141 total. Grand total is 444. Then the average readability level in the is the 8th grade. So we have here the 8th grade for the readability level of this passage. So we can only give this to grade. This level of reading is for the 8th grade level. On this part is the simple measurement of gobbledygook or SMOG system to estimate readability. So the first one is the Fry, and this is the second one. So SMOG or simple measure of gobbledygook was developed by McLaughlin 1969 in Forgan and Manglum 1989. So gobbledygook is speech or writing that is hard to understand because it is full of long, involved sentences and big words. SMOG or SMOG is used to determine the readability of materials of the fourth grade level and above. Unlike Fry's graph, it does not involve plotting points on a graph to yield a grade level score. It indirectly relies on a sentence length and word difficulty to predict the readability reading material. A small grade level score, so we need to follow these simple steps. So the first one is select sentences. So we were going to count 10 consecutive sentences near the beginning of the text to be assessed, 10 near also in the middle, and 10 near the end. So we will going to have 10 each text. I mean, we're going to have 10 in each level. So on the middle and the end, beginning, middle, and the end. Each of them will have the 10 text to be assessed rather. Try to select the 10 passages that are representative of the printed materials. So next is count the number of polysyllabic words or 3 or more syllables. So in the 30 selected sentences in the beginning, middle, and the end, we're going to count every word of 3 or more syllables. A word is defined as any group of letters or numerals beginning and ending with a space or punctuation mark. If a polysyllabic word is repeated, count each repetition. So for example, we have counted 15 polysyllabic words. So now count the number of polysyllabic words for the next two samples. So we're going to be marking each polysyllabic word with a slash, like what is going to be shown on the next slide. Next is total the number of polysyllabic words for the three samples. So add the total number of polysyllabic words for the 1, 2, and 3 samples. So we have it's gonna be the beginning, middle, and the end. So we're going if on the actual part is we're going to put it on a blank opposite number 4 in the worksheet, but we're not doing it actually here. So next is 4 is estimate the square root of the number of polysyllabic words counted. So this is done by taking the square root of the nearest perfect square. For example, if your total is 51, it is between the perfect square 49 and 64. Since 49 is nearer to 51 than 64. So you get its roots, you'll get its square root, which is 7. So like 7 times 7 is closer to 51 than 8 times 8. Then on the last step, add 3 to the approximate square root to get the SMOG grade. Add the constant 3 to the square root you got and write your answer on the blank opposite number 7. Actually, in this, I will show you the worksheet after this. For example, if your approximate square root is 7, the SMOG grade is 10th grade or 4th year high school. So we have here now as the 4th year high school is the 10th grade. So next to it is I will show you so this is the sample 30 sentences from Do You Know Your Child? Actually, there is still a continuation, but I just cropped it since I will just only show you the words with slash, the syllables with slash. So you can see that we have here the remember, the listening, the newspaper. So we will count it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So this would be the beginning. Then continually, this is gonna be the mid. Then there are more from it. So this is the worksheet that has been talked about the number of polysyllabic word sample 1. So we're going to write it here. How many syllables? Then you're going to put the cards in the final number of the SMOG grade, the reading grade that an individual must have which is fully understand the text assets. So this is the sample. So there are different formulas yield from different results, especially when they consider different variables or factors. This is all the more reasons for us to approach readability formulas with healthy skepticism. Remember that readability is relative. Many of the factors affecting comprehensions are reader related, but formulas only analyze materials in terms of text variables. Furthermore, they consider only a limited number of text factors, like the sentence length, number of polysyllabic words, which are not as important as, say, content and concept load. All this in determining the readability level of materials, especially textbook, we should not rely solely on readability formulas. So we have also an alternative measure that we can consider, such as the close procedure, and we're going to tackle that on the next topic. The close procedure, one of the most important measure because of the professional judgment of the material based on what we know of the students who will read them and how the material will be used in the curriculum. So this one is the sample of readability by the Osmology grading system. So this is also these are passages so that we can use. This one are passages that we can use. Also, this is an example on how we're going to get the syllables. Tapos and we're going to count the syllables and then total it. The, this sample 3 is the continuation of the first slide that has been shown. Next is the close procedure. Close refers to the psychological principle of closure, or the human tendency to complete a familiar, not quite finished pattern. In listening and reading, you apply this principle when you supply a missing word in a familiar language sequence. According to Forgan and Mangrum, 1989, close procedure was originally developed by Taylor in 1953, determining the readability of printed materials. It determines how well the student can read a particular text result of their interaction with the material. So in the close procedure, we systematically delete words from a text passage and then evaluate students' ability to accurately supply the words that were deleted. Encounter with the closed passage reveals the interplay between the student's prior knowledge as well as the language competence. Thus, it is a good measure of the text suitability to these students and will help teachers select appropriate materials and instructional procedures. So we have here the activity 11.5. So we are going to notice that the introduction and ending has not been changed. The deletion occur only in the main body of the text, and the length of each line is the same for every deletion. So for example, on the sample close passage, we have here 50 blanks. So on the first part is books are such as accepted aspect of the schooling that teachers generally do not give textbooks a second thought. The textbook comes with the territory. So it's like filling the numbers, you're going to change it into the right words to be inserted on the passage. So it's like just filling in the blanks of the passage. So a closed test determines how well students can read particular text or reading selection and as a result of their interaction with the material. We have here the closed procedure, Vaca and Vaca 1986. So this is box 11. Construction. Select a reading passage of approximately 275 words from the materials that students have not yet read, but which you have planned to assign. Then leave the first sentence intact. Starting with the second sentence, select at random one of your first 5 words. Delete every 5th word thereafter until you have a total of 50 words for deletion. Retain the remaining sentence of the last deleted word. Type one more sentence intact. For children below grade 4, deletion of every 10th word is often recommended. So there is a different level of deletion also when it comes to the grade level of the students. Letter C, leave an underlined blank 15 spaces long for each deleted word as you type the passage on a master sheet. So it is clearly stated here that when starting the second sentence, he's going to select random of first 5 words, then delete it every 5th word thereafter. So every 5th word, he will delete the word. Next is the administration. Inform students that they are not to use their textbook or work together in completing the closed passage. So it's not gonna be a group activity. It's going to be solely one student. Then they're not going to use their textbooks. Explain the task to the students. Show how the closed procedure works by providing several examples on the board. Letter C, allow students as much time as they need to complete the closed passage. Then the scoring. Count as correct every exact word students apply. Do not count synonyms even though they may appear satisfactory. Counting synonyms will change the scores appreciably, but it will cause unnecessary hassle and haggling with students. Accepting synonyms also affects the reliability of the performance criteria since they were established on the exact word replacement. So we're not going to use the students not gonna they are not gonna use synonyms or the same word. They're just going to use the exact word that was deleted from the passage. Allow students as much as time as they need to complete the closed passage. So again, the time here is unlimited, I guess, because it is very hard to complete a 50 missing words in a passage. Then, oh my god. Then the scoring count every correct exact students. Okay, here. I already explained this. Then letter B, multiply the total number of exact word replacement by 2 in order to determine the student's close percentage score. So by 2, multiply by 2. Record the close percentage scores of on a single sheet of paper for each class. For each class, you now have 1 to 3 instructional groups that can form the basis of differentiated assignments. So refer to the close performance chart. So this is the close performance rate. So we have here the subject, the period, the teacher. So below 40, between 40 and 60. These are the scoring of the students. So a score of 40 to 60 indicates that the passage can be read with some competence by students. The material will challenge students if they are given some form of reading guidance. A score of 60% indicates that the passage can be read with a great deal of competence by students. They may be able to read the material on their own without reading guidance. Then the last one is a score below 40 indicates that the passage will probably be too difficult for students. They will need either a great deal of reading guidance to benefit from the material or more suitable material. So it is very important for us to know the content, the aids of learning, and the readability of the textbook that we're going to use for our students because it will also be a big help for them to understand clearly and be able to know what they are reading. So that's all. Thank you. Thank you for watching.